Hey everyone, we're going to look at how to find functions, how to write functions, how to graph functions, and also fill in tables for functions as well. So a couple of the big things that we'll see, we'll talk about input values, which are the independent variable, and output values, which are the dependent variable. So the first question, they give us a scenario about a music service. It pays a flat rate of $5 and they can download songs for 10 cents each. So the independent variable is going to be the one that will change throughout the question depending on what number you put in. The independent variable is again the one you put in. So the independent variable in this case is going to be the songs downloaded. And the dependent variable will be, in this case, the cost or total cost of the service. Usually the independent variable, it's going to be connected to what amount changes. So like how they say 10 cents each, that's going to go with that. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to write a function, and we're going to go ahead and fill in a table and graph it. So I'm going to move down so you can see B, C, and D. And it says fill in the table below. So it says number of downloads 0. Well, the amount charged would then be $5 because you have that monthly fee. If you have 5 downloads, it's 10 cents a download. So that means that you'd be at $5.50. Sorry, my periods are looking like commas, my decimal points. 10 is going to be $6. And then if we do 20 downloads at 10 cents each, that's going to be another $2 on top of the 5. So that'll be $7. Now for C, they want us to write a function for this. They want us to write an equation. So we're going to model that as y as a function of x. So in this case, we know it's a $5 fee, which we start with. If you start with that, that's your Y-intercept. And then it's 10 cents a song, and since our independent variable is the amount of songs, it's going to be 0.10x. So, next thing, and the last part we're going to do for this question, it says we can use the calculator table for this. I mean, hopefully this is review. You would just go to on y equals, you want to type in 0.10x plus 5, okay? And then you'd want to hit second and graph. That'll give you access to the table. And you can see the amounts that you're getting in these cases here. So you could use some of the points that have 2 whole numbers. You could try to graph every one. You don't necessarily need to because we're going from 0 to 40. But if I did, let's say 0, 5, 10, 6, we know 27, we got 38. So we could use those points on our graph. So I'm going to start with 0, 5. Okay. Then we got 10, 6. So we got 10, 6, 27, 38. And then it would be 49, but I'm not going to move the calculator anymore. So it's going to kind of look like this. Okay. So we can get those coordinates from the table. And then again, you want to stay consistent with this. This thing starts at 5. Like you either start at $5. There's not going to be anything on the left side of this graph. And the other thing to be careful with is just remember that if you do look at the graph, you're really not going to see a whole lot of the graph. And the graph that we have here right now is set at 10 on each side. So really, you're not going to see too much of the graph. You really got to go with the table, especially in real-world questions. Okay. All right, so let's move on to the next page. We're going to talk about what makes something a function. So, going on to the next part, they give us 2 graphs with points on them. And it says for part A, draw the vertical lines for x equals 3. So I'm going to go to 3 on the x-axis. And then I'm going to draw a line going through. And they want us to do it for each of them. Now they want us to think of all the output values for each graph. So for A, there's actually two output values. I'm going to kind of bold those in. And for B, there's one. So I'm going to write down the output values for A. It's 3, and then the output would be 4. And another output value is negative 4. And then for relationship B, it happens to be at negative 2. So they want us to explain which of these is a function. Now, the one that's going to be a function is relationship B. And the reason it's a function is because there is only one output value. So relationship B, each input or x value has only one output. And we kind of disproved that for relationship A because we had two output values for the one input value. So that's a little review of functions. That'll help you with the first part of the next page. And then the last example goes through exercise 3. And they give us a graph. It's already done for us. Okay. And what we're going to do is just kind of use that graph to help us answer the questions. So they want us first to figure out the y-intercept. Well, that's just a review. The y-intercept is the place where it touches the x-axis. So this y-intercept is going to be 1. I'll just write y-intercept equals 1. And then they give us and ask about the x-intercepts. So between what two consecutive integers does the larger x-intercept lie? Well, here would be the x-intercepts, sometimes referred to as zeros. And they want to know which two integers. So if we count over, we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. That means that it's between 3 and 4. So it's going to be 3 point something. We just can't tell it unless we go into or try to do a factor for this. Now the last part they want us to do is draw a horizontal line for y equals negative 2, which would be this line. So I'm going down 2. This would be y equals negative 2. And then using these two graphs that we have, they want us to find all values of x that the equation below is true. So that would mean that the values of x that would make it true are the x values of the coordinates where it touches. So in this case, x would be 1, and x would be 3. And you could verify that if you plugged in 1, or you plugged in 3 in both spots, you would end up getting negative 2 out on each side. Okay? And they say you could do that. You could do that and check that yourself just by substituting. We've done a bunch of substituting already. And then for the assignment, you can see they're asking about if we have functions or not. They're asking about input and output values. And they're also giving you a question dealing with writing an equation, kind of like we did in the first example. So you're going to do all the questions on the second page. And then let me check them when you're finished.